So this is a part of our DTM Discover Tibetan Medicine class. This is a third cohort, and now we're in the process of doing self-assessment, self-healing through the seven constitutions. So one of the things that we just discussed, or some of you might have seen earlier, we're talking about the seven constitutions and how you find out yourself before you actually take action to blindly follow up one recommendation. So you need to follow up what you need to do. So that's the part. And then all the regime of prevention and treatment coming from the four methods in Tibetan medicine is a diet, nutrition based on individualized, based on the seven constitution, and then lifestyle and behavior, and herbal remedies and external therapies. So what I did is for this part, we're going to talk about something what we have done during the COVID, and I'm very interested in and enthusiastic about the cold and flu prevention through the Tibetan medicine, because what happened is that we have a lot of people get a flu shot, which is great. That is helping us, but it doesn't cover for all the entire population. The reason is some people get an adverse reaction to it, then they are afraid of it. So there's a group of people, they don't like to receive the flu shots, but then I'm trying to find other alternative and complementary method to still be able to provide the cold and flu preventions without getting actual shots. So we can move to the next page. Okay, thank you. So before we talk about that, through Tibetan medicine, everything is a seasonal care according to the five element changes commonly defined as in Tibetan medicine, we define the season to two different ways. One of them is a 4 season or 6 seasons. So I know most of you are probably quite well understand the 4 seasons: summer, winter, fall, and spring, right? But we never heard about anything about the 6 seasons. So in Tibetan culture or medicine, we define that into there one season called Soga. Soga is right between like April to June, like a beginning of summer, end of spring. So there's a one season is a very dry. It doesn't have a rain, no snow, no rain, but the whole area becomes very dry. So we call soga. At that time, it's a very hard for animals, no food to eat. For people, you have to conserve all the food from the winter, from the previous summer, fall to keep up going. So that's a one additional. And then the summer we normally consider is almost like the monsoon, is the raining season. So it seems like hot, but then it's starting to build all the coldness inside the body, but coldness and heat. But then in the fall, it starts to burst out of the heat. However, in the winter is quite long. Winter we have breaks two parts. We call upper season of the winter and a lower season of the winter. So basically, like every 2 months is a one season. That how it becomes 6 seasons. That one in people live in California, we actually experiment only 2 seasons, right? We're either in the summer or in the winter. However, we also carries one characteristic is because of the microclimate from the Pacific Ocean. And I think also all the people who lives nearby the ocean, they go through the similar situation, go through microclimates. So we actually have the 6 season throughout the day. throughout the month. So it doesn't have to wait every 2 months to get that. So it's kind of like a nice, but also kind of challenging to learn the sixth skill, the skill of six season for entire month or entire year. But people live in a coastline. We have to learn how to take care of yourself very fast according to external thing changes, because through Tibetan medicine, your body is made of these five elements, but the five elements is the root of our external environment. When anything changes outside of the world, outside of the environment, the climate changes, your entire body change. So I want to stop here for 1 minute and I want to get some feedback from you. Is how do you feel when you wake up in a sunny morning and um, versus that you wake up in cold and foggy morning and drizzling? So let's stop a minute. Let's have a little sharing feedback from you. So anybody can answer. Who would like to answer that? Lori, do you want to say something?
Sure. When it is a sunny day, I got more energy and love to go outdoor, like for a walk or starting with coffee, things like that. But when the weather change gets got colder, and then I feel like lazier. The action is a little bit slower, like, but tend to have some warm food or breakfast, those
Mm-hmm.
kind of things. So yeah, that's the differences.
Yeah, that's you don't need to change the anything in your mind, right? The weather
Right,
changes you, right? The climate
right.
changes you.
Yep.
So anybody wants to share? I do hear opposite too. So let's see if anybody have any opposite thoughts or feeling.
That would be me, sort of.
Uh-huh.
When it's very hot, like when I used to live in San Diego, and when the days are very hot, that's when I get sleepy. That's when I just want to hide inside all day. And then when it's my favorite weather is actually overcast. So
Mm-hmm.
when it's overcast here and a little bit foggy, that's when I love to go hiking.
That's a really good answer. Yeah, I have both. Anybody from visitors from here? Anybody just joined in with us would like to share your thoughts?
Yeah, this is Elaine. Wow, that's interesting about the fog. No, I didn't want to put the covers over my head because I tend to be cold and
Mhm.
think about where's the wool socks and where's, like, even before I'm out of bed, what can I put on to be warm?
Mm, nice. Yili, are you from do you mind if you show your face?
It will, the connection is not very good,
Oh,
so when I
okay.
have video, yeah, it'll stop.
Sure, sure.
Uh, Yeah, no, what's really interesting is I grew up back east. So, in New York, and, we'd have winter, which I hated. And always wanted to come out to a warm place. And the funny thing is, we came years ago to San Francisco. It was July and it was freezing.
Yes.
And I was shocked because, this childhood dream of going to a warm place, I thought, people were lying to me because it's so cold and it's July. Yeah, but yeah, no, it's hard. I just want to stay inside when it's cold under blankets.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing, Elaine. I know you're with us often, so thank you. Anybody else who would like to share your thoughts?
I'll share.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Dr. Yang.
Hi.
I'm originally from New York, and then I moved to Georgia, and then I visited San Diego. What I love about the West Coast is the sun comes up, so I feel energized. Even though it comes up like 5 o'clock in the morning or somewhere in there in that range, I feel energized. But being in Georgia, because it's so hot and sticky, and I don't go out in the summertime because I feel drained from the heat. So
Mm-hmm.
now it's fall, the sun is shining bright, it's 60 degrees, it's perfect. But in New York, that would not be me. I preferred the summers in New York. So I think it has a lot to do with the climate.
Yes. So externally, you can be changed by the environment, right?
Yeah.
So thousand years ago, when we are not actually talking about today's climate and environmental terminologies, but I don't know how those ancestors figured out, external environment would affect your body. So basically, involuntarily, external environment changes you, right? Changes you automatically before you put any effort. So thank you for sharing. That's one of the because in the market, we have everything. You do something, it's good for you, so everybody should buy this, everybody should eat this. So I really resist to that one, and I feel so sad that we only have a cultural says that, but they don't take you to a different direction. But I'm, as an outsider person, who are the who grow up in different cultures. So in my tradition, especially through the Tibetan medicine, we always say you make sure ask who you are and why you are good at, why you like this, why you don't like this. So it's really a lot of things to do with the personalized body makeup. So we talked about the point that of the constitution, your nature of the mind and body status. That one is so like V and yourself, was explaining the heat actually make you sleepy and weak, right? But then on the other hand, the coldness makes you feel energized. So there's a indication that inside of your body is more heat, and you resist that heat without saying, right? So it doesn't do any good that we say, oh, I don't like the heat, I hate the heat, right? Doesn't do any good, but your body is naturally taking that reaction or response to say how it can stay cool. So you're doing naturally. So all those things are really interesting, that how you can bring yourself, but you're doing the correct things. So like Lori and other person who Elaine just shared, um, prefer to be warmer. They are more energized with the sunny. Um, if it's a cold and windy, and a dampness like San Francisco in the summer is extremely cold, and that's why I was earlier covering our time. It's like summer we have to wear the down jacket, and I have a Zoom with my friends. They say, "What are you doing? Where in summer they're in sweatshirt, like in t-shirt, and I'm in the." Sometimes when I try to walk along the beach, I live nearby the Sunset area. It's so cold. I have to wear the winter hat to walk around. So it's a cold for me because my nature is my own nature. I'm more pagan and Tiba, but over the year I think it's turning toward more the pagan or Lung is more getting more predominating. So I'm sensitive to cold. But then if I have a choice, I think I'm more resisting heat than cold. Cold I can add more things in. At least I can stay warmer, but in the summer there's a limit what you take off. So I really say no to the heat part. So my body is composed with that more Tiba, but Pagan and Lung is they're the underline of this. But so now we in the past, in Tibet, when we were in Tibet, we only see the Tibet. Then if in the West, we only see the West. But now everything is globalized, right? Now we have with the internet, with the Bay Area exposure, and even the whole countries so become so small. That's why we need to know the global situation. Because of that, then speaking, if you're in East Coast, then we experience the 4 different seasons. But then if you're in Bay Area, we really have heat and cold season. Like people live in East Bay, then they're also like they're about 35 minutes, 40 minutes, or 1 hour away from us. But they really see the summer or the cold winter. That's it. Winter is only like 2 months. But for us in Bay Area, not only Bay Area, Sunset, the coastline, Pacific Ocean, then we have our own unique cold, damp weather. So then we need to learn the way of how we gonna take care of ourselves like a daily basis. Like if you're in Menlo Park, if you're down in Redwood City, that's just like a 40 minutes away from Daly City. Their climate, they're really distinct, like a summer or cold winter. So they don't experience the little things. So they can learn how they behave the way. So in my education part of the patient, I have to be so flexible. I cannot seasonalize for everything for local area. I have to kind of be aware where the person coming from. So when I tell them what to eat, what not to eat, I have to know what temperature they're living in. So that's one big things, differences. So, but for yourself, learning yourself, you have to always carry one extra sweatshirt or sweater or something with you, warm tea or cold tea or something with you all the time, depending on the area. So the differences of the 4 season among these 5 elements, they change depending on which season. Like say, for instance, for the 4 different seasons, then winter is more earth and water, cold, like a more cold water element. In the spring is more wood and air. In the summer is a fiery. Then summer, spring is winter, fire. Then we normally call the transitional month is more earth. So every 2 months, then the transitional month is like earthy month. So they all transit, so you can do your diet lifestyle according to that. Then another most important thing about eating seasonally, when you're shopping at the supermarket, then you will be able to get everything around the year, right? Because they import hot house vegetable and fruit, but you can tell the taste, they are taste totally different from the seasonal fruit. I'm one of the biggest fan of farmers market, and I'm so spoiled shopping at the farmers market. Then you really don't want to eat any fruits and vegetables bought in um, a supermarket, because they all look green, they all watered, and they all fresh look, but then they all come from different times of the year. So like tomatoes doesn't really grow in the winter, but tomatoes still is being sold in a supermarket. But when you actually mindfully eating the tomato, it does not have the flavor of the tomato itself. But then if you eat one tomato right around the season, that is around, doesn't matter which season or which area you are around, June, July, August, September, around that time, then the taste is way different. You don't even have to eat in the mouth. You can just smell it. The smell is so different. So my suggestion of that one is try to eat more seasonal food and local food, as we all know, and local. But like if you someone lives in New York, there's no farm, so it has to be imported or brought from different places. But at least you can think about in what season, in what fruits. Like California, one spoiled place that here is we all get spoiled because every month or every 2 months there's a new fresh vegetable and fruits comes along the market, and they all rotate, like a cherry season, apple season, orange season, peach season, all those, like every 2 months you can see the market changes really much about how the fruits and vegetables comes to the market. So if you really don't know what's in season, you just shop around the farmers market, then you will know what's in season. Yeah, that's a one thing about the farmers market and seasonal care. And so in December, we have a class about, actually it's a continuation of our DTM 3 class. It will be talking about food, and one class will be about actual making some soup in the winters. Lobsan and I will be doing that. Then one of the class will be about some fruit and vegetables from Dr. Pinto will be one of her class on I think the Saturday. So we will dive a little bit more into that. Okay, now can we move on to the next slide? Thank you. So the reason, I know most of you know, but for the people who are here today just visiting, I just want to pinpoint what is the main goal of Tibetan medicine is to prevent. So is a prevention is number one as a part of the health. And then you do the treatment. So the category of the cold and flu, I also organize this way, as a prevention, then as a treatment. So this is the way we were taught. This is the main goal of Tibetan medicine, to remain healthy and health well is the number one goal. Okay, let's move on to next one. Yeah, you can read that through. So most of you know, it has been practiced for really thousands of years of the it's an integrated version of the medicine for Tibetan medicine, or we call Sowa Rigpa Science of Healing and Health. Yeah, you can move on to next slide. Yeah. So those are okay. Let's see. Can you click on that button? Okay, one more time. Okay, good. So I think there's one more picture. Yes, thank you. So all the interesting thing is all the ancestors of all tradition of medicine, they're all here, and they're bringing us the wisdom, including the Western medicine that we practice today. We're finally going back to connecting to the Greek medicine, focusing on the lifestyle and the diet. But we kind of lost that for a long time. But originally in the medicine, through the Greek medicine, it also emphasizes on the diet and the lifestyle. Yeah, let's move on to the second page. Next page. Yeah, so this is the main text of Sowa Rigpa. It's called Gyushi. So this is the classical text. It's in Tibetan, and now we're learning this in, we have the translation of the basic foundation of class, so we're reading and learning about that book as a principle. So one thing about the different self-care, self-healing class for this one, what we're doing is most of them, they just teach you the types. You do this, you do that, but you don't know why you're doing that. So I'm building this a stronger support of philosophy support into your intellectual, so you know why you're choosing this and why you can help even further. Yes, let's move on to next page. Okay, so Now I'm going to share this. This is nothing, is no new information. I just want to share this how we did during the COVID. So a little bit history of that. And during the COVID, what happened is, remember we had the shelter in place, then we all locked down. So when we locked down, what happened to us is everyone became so anxious, and there are a lot of people having the cold and flu signs. Although at that time we didn't know it was a COVID, right? Then even if we said it's a COVID-19, but we did not know or the treatment, and we're blindly searching for the solution. So that summer or spring, because we shelter place in March 17, and during the December of 2018 and January, February of 2019, I have seen so many cases of cold and flu sign or COVID sign. And none of us knows what's going on that time. But I even told myself, why we're having so many cold and flu conditions? And then the news starting to report that people, lots of traveler coming back and forth. And although I wasn't treating the COVID-19 virus, I was be able to helping those conditions comes along with the COVID. At that time, one of the classical sign and symptom was a dry cough, hickey cough. So itching throat. So they don't have a much solution, don't know what to do. And test at that time was quite bland. We didn't know what's going on, except they were suspecting the COVID coming here, there from international. But actual daily basis, like in clinical perspective, there are lots of conditions. So at that time, I know one family friend. She went to Nepal in October. She came back with a really bad dry cough. So she went to UCSF. She's retired staff from UCSF. So she went to her doctor at UCSF. She did all the tests. They gave her antibiotics and wouldn't get better. And she suffered like 2.5 months after the symptoms. So she couldn't sleep. She lost weight and feeling really tired, and she kept having the cough. So finally, she called me. She told me all the story. After that, then what I did is the classical sign for her is exactly the dry cough, hickey cough, itching throat. So I did the oil treatment, the warm oil with the hormone, and the copper cups, then some acupuncture, but she was so sensitive, I couldn't even do acupuncture. So I just did this, then I gave her some herbal formulas that we're gonna talk about it, but I will introduce to you later. But some of them I couldn't get English words, so I just left the Tibetan words there. So I used those. Within 2 weeks, she was like 80% better. Then 4 weeks later, she was completely back to normal. Then she went back to do her test, the regular test at the UC, and she went back to her doctor. The doctor said, I don't know what's going on with you, and you have to check with the Stanford. Then she set up an appointment for 6 months. But in general, her condition of the symptom-wise, she was almost all the things is being resolved. So the doctor said, just to continue do what you're doing. I have no clue what's going on with you. Then, like her, we have many patients. Then we got a clear sheltered place, so we get a lot of calls. So we didn't know how to help them. Finally, we wrote up this. This is something that we can. At that time, starting to have the COVID-19 shots, and we say, you have the test. I meant the COVID-19. So we basically cannot touch the patient, right? We gotta close the office, so we're doing online visiting. So all the signs and symptoms we wrote it here, you know, those are really classical sign of sore throat, scratchy throat, chills, and fevers. And sometimes they alternate chills and fevers, muscle pain, night sweat, runny nose, cough, shortness of breath. Well, not everyone has this poor, low appetite, low energy. So I had a very high confidence to help them, although I probably not able to treat the COVID virus, but we use those resource what we have through the Tibetan medicine that I'm going to share with you. And that's the part that we have done. In addition to that, after we sheltered down, what we did is because I feel so enthusiastic that we have so much knowledge in Tibetan medicine that we can use it outside, then we gathered webinars with the different doctors from all over the, actually literally all internationally. We did a webinar. We set up like a within two weeks we had the shuttle down March 17th, so we had a lot of internal meetings. Then we set up 6 or 7 different what do you call it, the webinars. All the doctors are volunteer, all of us are volunteer positions, so we just set up this. Can you move on to the next page? So I want to give you some samples that what we have done. Okay, so this is one of the webinar. The first webinar we called Encounter COVID-19, so perspective from Tibetan medicine. So we put all the live dialogue. We have a Western doctor, we have a Tibetan medicine, different Tibetan medicine doctor. So luckily, I was so happy to see all the doctors, they're all ready to share the knowledge. So my team, we worked on organizing this. That was the first one, April 2nd. Can you move on to the second page, please? Yeah, so we, like Dr. Tani Tedwell, she's a PhD, but also Tibetan medicine doctor. And we started like having conversation, current Western medical understanding of COVID. She shared with the Western medical science. Then we have a Dr. Kenneth Gyatso, is one of her teacher. He shared a brief introduction to infectious disease in Tibetan medicine. And then Dr. Tenzin Namdul, who shared coping with the external fear and death amidst of the conditions. So integrating anthropology perspectives. And then we have another Dr. Jamba Gyaltsang. He's also astrologist. So he shared from the astrology perspectives. Then we have Dr. Nida Jenritsang from Italy. He shared firsthand experience treating COVID in Italy at that time. Yeah, can you move on to next page? Okay. So you know, after we're having early April, after the first and second conference or webinar, so there are more fundings coming out. They say changes. They're starting to pay attention to the tongue. They said, oh, COVID tongue. I don't know, non-COVID tongue looks like this. This is a very long tongue, but they noticed there are a lot of pagan. Pagan is the earth, the water related tongue. So you can see puffy, lot of dampness, lot of internal heat. So there are somehow Western science starting to pay attention, and someone wrote an article on this one. They compare with the non-COVID tongue, but that's not really the normal tongue either, but at least there's something. Okay, so can you move on to the next page? Yes, then April 9th, we did another real case on COVID challenge, difficult treating. So that I think Dr. Erica Wyrick and myself did the we did a dialogue between these two. And around that time, we also, because we did this webinar, it influenced lots of MDs. They brought these tips into their clinic because they have no guidance what to do either. So one of my doctor friend who actually took our first DTM class, she took the 300 hours and she used a lot of the tips that she learned from this course into her clinic. She found it very useful because unless it to the last stage, she doesn't know what to do because a hospital is not admitting their case, right? There's no hospital beds. So the patient is locked down at home. So she was sharing the remedies, what she can do to help them, everything. I think she was one of the in-person doctors. So she actually was seeing the patient in person. Then another one, Dr. Yongbuya, he shared a very interesting perspective of epidemic. So in the West, when we had the COVID, it's like it was like a very serious situation that nobody, it feels like no one knows what's gonna happen. It feels like so bland, like a big hole in it. So we're all gonna dip in there, we're all gonna die, the whole world is gonna end. But Dr. Yombuya brought all the history of Tibetan medicine, how Tibetan medicine helped all different type of epidemic condition throughout the years of 1,000 years. So he brought that ease and also brought the idea what they implemented through the Tibetan medicine into that moment. So we had the masking, right? Then we finally, it took a long time to do the masking, but we wasted so much money just to debate we should wear mask or not. And then also shelter in place. So basically you stay home, not being exposed to other place. So this type of the remedy actually was already being implemented into Tibetan medicine 1,000 years ago. So Dr. Yumbuya digged out all the history of that he shared with the public. And Dr. Punzo Wang shared, she's one of our DTM teachers. She shared the different stages, I think there's an S missing, but stages of disease and early exposure of the 6. So like a cold and flu in Tibetan medicine, we have 6 different stages. So we don't have a one medicine for any cold and flu. It all depends on your symptoms and your pulse. And of course, at that time, we cannot check your pulse. We have to go through the telehealth version, either by phone or on the computer, right? So if we use a visual, like a video, or on the Zoom, then we're able to check their tongue. We're able to check their urine visually. So we gave them instruction what to do. Then that really brought us a lot of benefit, like tips to help the people. And she also shared what kind of herbal supplements, not quite supplement, what kitchen herbs that you can use at the house to ease your anxiety, but also help the cold and flu symptoms. And then Kuncho Tseten from New York, he did clinical use of Tibetan medicine applications. Then one of the doctor from Tibet, Mingi Tsomu, she shared what in Tibet is going on last TRC in Gansu meeting. So what the remedy they're using there in that area, they actually did they imported a lot of Tibetan medicine into China because originally, although Tibet became one of the effect later on Delta time, Delta virus for the COVID, that time was really bad. But later, at the early stage, Tibetan medicine did a great work exporting into China, helped a lot of Chinese down in the Chinese cities. Then Dr. Rinchen Tundu shared research and development needs in response to COVID in that perspectives. So I was really happy to share those with the public and to ease, there's a hope, it's not end of the world. And then we had more classes. We did in 2 classes in April, May, and I didn't put everything. I just want to show you the samples. But this one had a wonderful result that I'm going to share with you. Okay, can you move on to next page? Okay, so this result, so I put it highlighted with the 2 people. They're the researcher, they're the scientist, PhD, Dr. Chani Tedwell and Tenzin Namdar. So 2 of them led the Tibetan doctors to have a research on the COVID situation. Tibetan medicine has a lot of resource to benefit people, but we have a lack of workforce and we don't have enough doctors. So it's very hard to be out to influence people to share this knowledge. So we could do at least with their connection, with their advisors, they helped us to be able to conduct this research. So the guideline is they ask all the doctor, whatever they're doing, they do telehealth or they do in-person treatment, doesn't matter. They need to record whatever they done, what symptom that patient had, and when they recover. So we would provide the no name, just the age and the age, gender, and what the medication, the herbal formula we used. Then finally, they did the research. After 3-4 hard work of these 2 doctors, they published an article. I put the link underneath, so you can copy or we can share that with you later. And effect of Tibetan herbal formula on symptom during patient with an native SARS CoV-2 infection. So this article just came up early this year. So the conclusion is, I cannot see so clearly with my phone. Dr. V, can you, do you mind if you read the conclusion part?
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Conclusions and relevance. Ambulatory patients diagnosed with SARS-CoV-2 infection received Tibetan herbal formulas had recovered from symptoms at a median of 11.7 days, fewer than other published reports in patients following standard of care. The Tibetan approach of targeting treatment based on symptom groups, especially those within classical Tibetan medicine nosology, appears to result in quick symptom resolution.
Thank you for reading that. So all the Tibetan doctors are working here as their private practice, and we are lack of all the resources. We don't get any PPE. We don't have any city support. So we were doing as much as we could to benefit the public. We're trying to help ease the public. Basically, this one became our public issue, right? Public health issue. So because what we see is one side of the public health that is so limited resource, so limited knowledge, and including the Chinese medicine, doctor, we have a famous doctor, his name's Dr. John Chen. He also put a lot of series of webinar through Chinese medicine, what Chinese medicine can help to this. I'm not sure if they did some research. In Chinese medicine, they're a little bit more advanced for resource. We have a more population practice this, so it's a little better, but we both are similar situation. We don't get a city support. We don't get any help from the public health. Even I didn't get any PPE type of thing where I didn't know where to get it. So finally, Dr. Erica Wyrick, she got it a lot from her work. She kept sending to me because she was worried about me in my clinic. So we're all helping each other to make this happen. We're hoping that this way can help the people, as much as we can. Even if we cannot do a lot, but we're still struggling the last breath to help. Okay, so can you move on to the next slides? Yeah, so I listed preventative options. Those are the teas we used. Then when it become actual illnesses, when they have the active problem, then we have another list. So everything, it does not mean you do those things, then you won't have any issue that you don't have to worry about sleep, nutrition, and state of mind. So basic line or baseline of your prevention is based on good quality of sleep. You get good nutrients, then you're having good sleep. Your sleep quality is good, the good state of mind. So those are the foundation. In addition to that, then we have it's kind of like a necklace. I put a necklace, but we call
Can
a
I
night.
show everyone just for a moment? I
Yes.
have it with me. Okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Let me just stop sharing for 1 second.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
Oh, oh, that's weird. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay, there we go.
Thank you.
Okay, can you guys see me now? Let me unblur my background, and this is the necklace here, if you can see.
Yes, really nice. Thank you. I like your
you.
background with your hand. Yes, thank you.
There you go.
I might have a photo later, but this is exactly how it looks. So this one prepared with 9 different herbs, ingredients. They're quite strong. In general, we use external use only, but there's a case we use intake as well. But this property of this 9 ingredient that becomes so popular around that time is it has a function to prevent cold and flu. And lots of people use it, but we didn't have a research, so I cannot show you the research data. But the feedback is, in general, most people with this black pill, the 9 ingredients, we call nagugujor, they get a really good prevention. So during the time right before I was mentioning earlier, like January, February, we're having a lot of this condition. So when we are having the shelter in place almost being placed, we're not sure. Remember, it was like, oh, we heard tomorrow is going to shut down next day. So we prepared some people who they come to the clinic, then I just send it to them because we're not sure what's going to happen next. They gave me a report. Everybody who has those, they got a really good result. They could stay healthy. They could stay away from the getting sick. So some of them I ran out, so I didn't have enough. So I have to be so stingy. So I just use one for each family. So I, instead of using one for giving to each patient, so I packed one for whole family, then put it in the kitchen table. So they rotate. Good thing you don't have to eat this or take this by mouth. So what they can do is that they can sniff it. So I put it in a plastic bag, then they can sniff it a couple of times, then they put it back in a bag. So 3 or 4 people can share with the one pill. And they found it really useful. And this is one of them, one of the herbal formula that being transported into China a lot at that time. Then we have a variety of tea. Those I wrote down the name in Tibetan, but I don't have the exact translation at this moment. So one of them we call it's kind of direct translation magic tea because it does work as a magic. We call Chultang. It's it has 4 different ingredients. this all formula, this all tea needs to be taken before when you actually get sick. If you already get sick, then the just by taking the tea is kind of too late. But it's almost like in the West, we see the emergencies, right? You have compound of the vitamins. Similar situation, but it's made with the herbs. And I have the sample of the herbs in a picture later to show you.
Dr. Kausang,
Yes.
looks like we have a few questions.
Yes.
Okay, so first, Nikki is asking, how can we get the necklace?
Oh, those we have in the clinic. So you can contact us.
Okay, I'll
You
put
can
down
send
the
us email. Yeah.
okay, put the email address in the chat.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
Elaine is asking, are the teas available?
Yes. Yeah, thank you for asking. I'm about to put this in a kind of newsletter or flyer, making all those into one place, so you have a resource to go uh, to check all of them. So just give me 1 second. Okay. Yeah, any other questions?
I
That's
just want
it in the
to say-
chat. Oh, go ahead, Emma.
I'm sorry. During that time, was it also packaged in like a yellow cloth? Because I believe I purchased that from you, the black pill in a
The
yellow.
black pill in general is yes, you probably have my oldest one. So it's the direct herb is packed in a black cloth, but among there's a one external cloth that when you were wearing, like the one Dr. V showed you, that one is placed in a yellow fabric you wear on the neck. This is a kind of related into Tibetan Buddhism protection pill. Normally we wear some protection pill or protection things on the neck from the, your teacher or from like a green tara or something that for your own protection. So because the black pill that works as good as the one, just different issues. So we have I think when they directly make it, they made it into thought about that way to wear on the neck.
Yeah, because I did purchase that and it
Yes.
does work.
Okay.
I was
Did
glad-
you help you?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
good. When did you buy that?
I actually bought it in the midst, I think it was in 2020. Yeah.
Oh,
it-
okay.
it
That's
was
right around the COVID time, right?
Yes. Yes. So every time I had to go outside or every time I had, when I come back in or even before I went, I would sniff the pill under both nostrils. And yes, it helped.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah. I hope in the future, people just need to know this remedy. And it's so good that you don't, especially for the kids, right? Like we don't like to have shots, right? But I didn't necessarily mean to replace the vaccination. But on the other hand, there's additional or complementary to the flu shots or like any shots. Now, COVID shot is one of the shots we need to receive in addition to the flu shots. But this is the 9 ingredients black pill that inhales in. And we can go over that when we actually see the thing in the back, okay? And the tea, the magic tea, and that one is particularly when you have early sore throat, you start to feel little body ache, and you feel little chills, fever. At that time, works really good. But if you miss that time when you actually having thick yellow phlegm, that means the cold already went down to the chest. So you need additional thing. Okay, so next one is a solo 40. So basically this one has 4 different herbs. Solo is a rhodiola. And in Tibetan medicine, this one is a very good herb for lubricating your lung. So when they especially have this dry throat, dry cough, and it also helps mild asthma. So we use this one. It very instantly, almost like instantly, will help you to loosening your chest, because you feel this dry cough, a really tightness on the chest, and it feels like nothing coming out. Then that one will help you a lot right away. So I use this a lot for the children as well, because the taste is not that bad. The Manuti is another formula. Manuti also has 4 different ingredients. Then the Seven Treasure Tea. Seven Treasure Tea is a combination of the magic and Manuti. So they're about 7 ingredients. So they're just like a little bit different. When you don't have all of them, if you have a one type, will be fine. Only the difference is solo tea, solo 4 tea is really based on your more focused on the lung. Then Tangchen 25, that one is really good for low-grade fever. So it comes with the pill form or comes with the tea. Originally, it comes with the more tea, but right now they also have a pill version. You can take that. Then Triphala, I put this Triphala in the Ayurvedic version. In Tibetan, we call Devasumta, means if there's lots of heat in the body, especially like feeling hot, so we use a Devasumta, that tea. So those are the classical tea that you could get from the practitioner, because you won't be able to make yourself, but you will be able to make it yourself once you have it. Then we came up with the other list, not many, but some kitchen spices that we can use that I'm going to show you next. But the foundation is you have to have a good quality of sleep, nutrition, and balanced state of mind, especially the stress, right? Stress and sleep are very important. If you don't have good of those, no matter what you do, your immune system goes down immediately. Okay, so next page, please.
Before we move on, we have a
Yes.
question in the chat.
Okay.
Elaine is asking, are all of the remedies good for all constitutions?
For those, yes, you can choose. Yes, in general, good for any. This is a more for because you're not going to take for a long time. It will be temporarily taking. So yes, anyone can take it, unless the black pill. I want to say something is even if it's a sniffing, if you are like a lung constitution, and lung constitution tends to be a little weak and sensitive. Remember we talked about that one. So that one I would do. Normally it's recommended before breakfast, but I would recommend after the meal, and also not like 3-4 times sniffing at one time, maybe like one, then come back again later. The rest of them, yes. So here you go. So the key symptoms, scratchy throat, runny nose, poor appetite, poor energy, then feeling extreme cold in the hands and feet, chills and fevers, body aches. Remember when you are catching cold or flu, the main issue in the Western medicine, they say when you have a flu, you have the body ache, right? So the whole body becomes so heavy, so achy, but you cannot really pinpoint it's a leg, joints, knee, and the whole body. So the T looks like this 3 balls in the front. It's a really compound of the grass, looks like a dry grass, but those are the dry herbs. Then it's a little bit harder to cook. Easy to cook, but also if you don't have experience, then it's a little harder to cook in a stainless steel pot. No, if you have an option, it's really good to use those ceramic, the Chinese herbal cooking pot. But if you don't have that, you can still use it. So I started putting in the tea bag, then it doesn't, because it dries, somehow it stays on the side of the stainless steel pot. It becomes really dry and hard to wash later. So what you need to do is I normally put 3 of them in it, so you can soak with a certain amount of water. Once you're actually using, then I have detailed instruction. Then you soak it. After you soak, what you do is you soak about 10 minutes, then you cook in, you make to boil. After boiling, then you simmer for 10-15 minutes, or could be a little longer, then try to make it thick. Then you can drink that twice a day. They all look similar, so I didn't pick it. Pick one kind. They look similar, so same way of cooking. Then you drink, better to drink when it is warm. Yeah, can you move on next page? Yes. Okay, so home remedies, what we did is, so imagine you don't have those, right? The ginger tea really worked, ginger and clover and mint. So when we use the mint is the time when they have a little bit more heat. Mint, in Tibetan, we have something called kuti. It's very similar to mint, but I don't have it. You don't have it in your house, so I have to find some supplement, right? Dr. Pinzo recommended to use those. And then lemon, ginger, honey tea. So it's a very, very classic Indian tea that they like to drink. But this is one of the tea also very soothing. But the point is, like in Tibetan medicine, we don't recommend kind of like blocking the sweat or blocking the sensation in. If there's a virus or if there's a cold, whatever the cause bacterial virus, we like to get that out. So we use those ginger tea, clove, mint, or the lemon, especially the ginger, lemon, honey tea. Those can make you sweat. So the night when you're sleeping after the strong ginger tea may not make you really calm, but it will make you sweat. The main point is to get you sweat. So if you're sweating, you may get we call night sweat, right? Then we complain, I haven't been sleeping well, I had a sweat. But if you actually get sweat during the cold and flu time at night, then you will feel much better. Faster, you will heal much sooner. So in Chinese medicine, through one of the treatment method is called sweating. So we purposely give herbs to make you sweat. Same thing for Tibetan medicine. As long as you sweat, then next day you will become lighter. Then you will, because the cold and flu doesn't have a one sign and symptom, it changes really fast, rapidly. That's why, remember when we have the COVID, even if the classical sign symptoms are the dry throat, dry mouth, dry skin, but it changes instantly and nobody knows why. It's just we saying why it's moving, but it's coming back to lung. One of the characteristics of lung, because your lung is being disturbed, so it's affecting your body. So it's causing all the different signs, symptoms. So to make a sweat is one of the treatment methods. So after sweating is next morning, then you might have a congestion nose, you may have some congested chest, then you take the herbs according to what you need to do. So at that time, when we were doing the webinar, so we were trying to let the people know, public know that there's no one thing. There's 6 different stages of cold and flu that is described in Tibetan medicine. That is, that's why we call the 6 different stages of cold and flu, we call mamimba. Mamimba means unripened heat. So at that time, you feel it's like almost like incubation time, for the virus. So you don't see the signs, symptoms, but the person feel heavy, they feel feverish sensation, but when you actually check temperature, they're in low, there's no temperature. And they're feeling body ache. Those are symptoms of unripened. So we purposely use herbs to ripen them faster. So then we can move on to next stage. Then there's a kopse. Kopse means a hidden fever. Then there's a nyokse. Then if the heat is being arised but become disturbed, is starting to disturb whole body, then it becomes another stage. But anyway, there's 6 different stages of cold and flu. Then when it becomes contagious or epidemic, then there's 18 different chapters talking about all how the different contagious disease is affecting you. So one of the Dr. Carroll, he emphasized on the 18 contagious disease in Gushi, the main study of Tibetan medicine. So it's clearly written down. The 6 stages, it's clearly written that was taught by Dr. Punzo Wangmu. Then there's also one thing is the evil spirit related matter caused the epidemic. So there's also a lot of things that we talked about, unethical thing happened for the animals being eaten, being sold, all those things. So basically those are the something that quite irrelevant from virus that is being produced, but it is a virus that being man-made. So why man-made is the human behavior, our desire to make make all different types. So that's the issue. So we covered the chapter from those. Yeah, so can we move on to next page or next slides?
Sure. Before we do that, we just
Okay.
have a comment in the chat. Elaine shared that there is a company called Fellow that has thermal style mugs containers that are ceramic lined, so we can steep them in those containers.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
And she shared the website. It's fellowproducts.com.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Can you keep that website? Then we can look that. Yeah.
Sure.
Lately the Chinese herbal cooking pots actually also become little advanced. They make a electric, so it's like almost like our electric water bottle, water cup, water tea kettle. They made that into ceramic too, like a soup. Some of them make a soup, some of them make a tea. So I'm sure it's similar. But thank you for sharing. So this one is the that Dr. V just shared, and is the traditionally used for this. So the instruction we give is that you sniff the pill in the morning and evening. I had to change this after breakfast and dinner because there were cases I heard in Tibet. There maybe like a 1 or 2 older ladies or older people, not ladies. They probably had some dizziness, lightheaded from the sniffing. So the reason why we say this night protection pill, they're really strong. So instead of, because this is a totally new concept in the West, so I don't want to have this liability, people die, people fainted, they don't know what's going on. So it's better to use after breakfast and dinner, which still works. And I consulted with my colleagues as well. So this one looks like this. This is 3 different types, but I mean not types. They're individually packed. You only need one. If you put this back in the plastic, although the one on the neck, you will lose the aroma of this. But if you put in a plastic without wearing on the neck, this one will work for a long time. And I have people they're using like 3-4 years. They still have a really good aroma toward it. So basically, this function, how it's working, is like in the West we have aromatherapy, right? So the ingredients of the aroma herbs is different, but the way of working is through the aroma methods, stimulating your sensory organ of the smelling. So basically, it's the first, you're stimulating the first cranial nerve, right? Issue is the number one, the smelling nerve. Then may prevent cold or flu. And before COVID, and this one has been practiced for 1,000 years, and this one did not just come up during the COVID, just become more popular around that time, because there's from Tibet and from other Tibetan doctors, we all came together to have this formula to be shared with the cold and flu time. So we can still use this every time when the cold and flu season comes. So this one only there's two ways to use. If you're working in the area, there are a lot of people, so you can definitely use that when you are suspecting, you may catch a cold or flu when coming in contact with anyone infected person or while traveling. Then a traveling time is another good one. Now rarely people wear masks, right? But there was a time people wearing a mask, but now I think the masking is still a really good idea, especially during the colder time. Remember the first year mandatory wearing mask, first 2 years, we had a much less cold and flu camp. And when the cold air comes, then you will smell or you will inhale the cold air, so it makes your lung cold. And also other pollution, right? Pollution going through your nose, so you can prevent that. So if you don't like the synthetic one, our single-use mask, if you have a fabric, that would be good too. And I think Elaine sent something. What did you say? Can you read that?
Sure.
Mhm.
So first, Nikki asked, how long are the sniffing pills or the necklace good for? I assume we need to change after a while when the smell dissipates.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. After the smell decreases, then it doesn't work as much. So depend on how you use. If you wear as a necklace, because you're exposed this every day in the air, right? So I think that one probably change at least once a year. But but when you take shower, you remove. Okay, don't take shower together with the water. Don't make it wet. But if you put it in a plastic, then you sniff it, put it in the plastic bag, just zip up, then you can use that for a couple of years until the smell stays.
Okay, and Elaine says, wearing mask outside keeps your face warmer in the cold.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's exactly. And I noticed that especially like when I grow up, when I was getting training in medicine, but we're kind of like already being integrated with the Western medicine. So we are required to wear mask anyway in the clinical setting. But this is one of my culture shock in the West, when I come to here in the hospital or in the clinic. Clinic, of course, is a little bit different option, but like in the hospital, the doctor doesn't wear mask. That was one big culture shock when I came. But I wasn't speaking English, so I couldn't express. So I just thought in my mind. But then after the COVID, once we start wearing masks, I think it's a good idea. Um, but I'm not really fan of the synthetic one. But then they said, okay, we have 95 or those, but then those makes much harder to breathe too. And I realized, wearing those type of masks make the doctor be really tired too, because we have to constantly catch our breath too, right? And somehow it make us more tired than other times. But when I was growing up, we used to wear the fabric muslin type of mask. So although it may not prevent exactly what they say, you know, you need to have a 95 to prevent all the virus going and out, but it will, if you wear a mask, at least um, you can avoid the exposure of the immediate, like when you talk to people, you sometimes you get split, right? Saliva, you know, people are talking, some spit comes to you or on the paper on your hand or some this thing happens, right? So this type of thing you can still prevent, and I'm sure it prevents some, but I don't know what level it prevents. So I think that pretty much is my last slide. Is there anything? I think I have some recommendation book. Yeah, okay, those are the, okay, let me go over this quickly. Then I leave some question. Um, so those are the herbal formulas that I used, or not me, only our Tibetan doctors used during the COVID, and I still use it. And those red or pink color, those are, I put in this color because those are more like urgent, like a more stronger version. So Lokyun, Tasimabu, Tangchin 25, Chunga, this four, those are really good when you are sick in high fever, especially when you have a high fever. Lokyun and Tasimabu are the one we normally use. It's almost like in the West, you use a Tylenol to reduce heat, right? We use those without causing. I don't say doesn't cause any side effect. I would say if your body is weak, you may feel a little lightheaded, you may feel a little jittery. But you need to eat something. If you find those things, you need to eat some protein food or some food into you because your body is weak. So that one, then Hangqin 25 is a mild. It's not as strong as the first two, but I still put it in this category because you can use when you have a heat and a low-grade fever. You know, sometimes our temperature is still low, right? But we feel that feverish sensation, then you can use Tangqin 25. And the Chunga, the last one is almost Tibetan antibiotics. So almost any infection, inflammation, this one working really well. Then the other, I put a sixth most commonly used one is a Lugun, is a lung heat. So basically, this one is called benefit the lung, especially when lung has a heat condition. So lung has heat condition that translate into almost like a lung infections, especially related active infection. That there's some we since you know we don't do the X-ray, right? We don't do check by the lung by X-ray or we don't listen by the scope or stethoscope, but we use phlegm mucus to diagnose. We look at the mucus, check the color of the mucus, the taste of mucus, and saliva of the mucus. So when it is yellow, greenish color, there's an infection. So we use those under main reason to check that. Then Zor 25 is when you have a deep cough, deep all the way into the lung and doesn't cough up, and but either that one or you have a deep cough like you know, it's a very hard, so you use this one. Most of them already have a chest congestion. Then Kuchung is the one we use for the like a sinus related cough or sinusitis. Then Tinda is the one very similar to, if you don't have the tea, if you're traveling, you cannot take the tea. Tinda is a one replacement. So you can take this. This one comes as a pill form. So we're using this. The next one is a Zenden 8. Zenden 8 is a based on the sandalwood formula. This is a very good for when there's a blood in a mucus, that means yellow and yellow, that means there's a heat inflammation. Then of course the person is coughing, but there's the mucus has a little blood. So you use the Zenden 8. It helps immediately. Then Banyan 15. Banyan 15 is another lung reducing cough herbs. And there's another one I forgot. It's called Grape 7, but Grape 7 is also very good for lung, like asthmatic cough. Those are the options that we have. There's other formula, but those are the most one I use clinically. Yeah, let's move on. So I'm bringing back to the root. So founder of Tibetan medicine, Yudo Yönde Gwenpo, right? So he mentioned my wish is that the science of healing will specifically from the Sowa Rinpoche will spread like an infinite expanse in the sky in order to benefit all sentient beings. So I always bring this, this one motivate me to bring anything that I know through the Tibetan medicine, Sowa Rinpoche, and TCM into the system to help people when I see there's a blind spot that we cannot really taking care of well from the allopathic medicine. So our goal is really to use all the medical system, but I'm not trained in Western medicine to give you the guidance of the self-care healing, but through the Tibetan and some of the Chinese medicine, we can combine together to provide you the tips of self-healing and hips. So right now is cold and flu season. I'm not sure if you have had your shots yet, but normally they call in. I'm still in my school, kids school mode of schedule. In September, what do you call it? September, August, they always ask you to come to get flu shots, right? So I thought it might be a good idea for us to put this idea into our system. So, you know, in addition to the flu shots, we have something else we can add into. Yeah, can you move on to the next page? Oh, okay. So again, back to diet. So you all know Thomas Edison, who brought who developed or pioneered our light, right? The doctor of the medicine. Future will have no medicine, but will give interaction with the patients in the. I can't read too clearly, but it's about the diet era of human frame.
I can help you read it.
Yes, that would be great.
The doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will interest his patients in the care of the human frame, in diet, and in the cause and prevention of disease.
So Thomas Edison already mentioned this one. So you know when the light is being discovered, but also in addition to that, speaking with another Tenzin Dese from UC Berkeley, because he's doing the sleep research, right? She told me that he's also very much on sleep. So he did a lot of sleep research, and one of the things he would research on himself how the his memory is doing depending on his sleep. So he would take a note. Apparently, he journal his sleep pattern, and then he did some research on sleep. So I always like to use this in the West to educate people and share this knowledge because, you know, even he mentioned then about the prevention of the disease. Yeah, thank you. Let's see what is the next. So prevention is the first step for body, healthy mind, and healthy spirit. And this is little girl. So mind, body, and spirit. So good thing right now, for the last 4 years, the mental health is become better and better. You know, people, I mean, although there are more people having the issue, but more people are open to talk about it. Okay. All right. So I have the recommendation book. This is a basic foundation of Tibetan medicine. And can you move on to the next page? So this is the more detailed about Tibetan medicine and you on Tibetan medicine. So it has the constitutional quiz about finding out yourself. So I put that recommendation reading book. Okay, so enjoy your journey to Tibetan medicine by knowing your 3 Nyepas or 3 Rangqings. So now I'm pretty sure you would know which one you are for most of you, but for the people who are visiting today, so you can read that book to explore yourself. Then we have the class in the future.